Ever since I started practicing and loving yoga, I've tried to encourage everyone I know to try it, including my family. They weren't really on board. Finally, my wonderful older sister, Kathy, is a yogi. She started at age 67 and is here to share with us that it's never too late to start. So, let's get started. Welcome to the Youthful Older Yogi podcast. I'm MJ Waddell, your yogi host and founder of Share Yoga. I've been practicing, teaching, and loving yoga for over 25 years. I'm an advocate of movement, creativity, and staying healthy in mind and body after 50. And so are my guests. It's never too late to start, and there's a lot of healthy years ahead. So let's start now. Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to the Youthful Older Yogi. I'm MJ from Share Yoga. I'm so happy you're with me today. I've got a very special guest. Her name is Kathy Baxter. And Kathy Baxter is a recent retiree from being a college advisor as a career. And she's raised 3 kids, multiple cats and dogs. And she's my older sister. And I asked her to come on to the Youthful Older Yogi today to share her experience about yoga because she has started yoga at the age of 67. And it's never too late. So thank you, Kath, for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, thanks for asking me. We'll see how I do here.
You're going to do great. Just relax. Remember, you're the older sisters and you could beat me up afterwards if you don't like it.
This is true. I paved the way for you.
Yes, thank you. Okay. So I always talk with my guests before the podcast to make sure that everything is okay and about the questions. So we talked before this taping, Kath, and you had shared that you actually took yoga in your 40s. You actually took it, you were going to college and you took it as a course and you were in your 40s at the time. So do you remember what you thought about that class?
I liked the class. At first, I was a little self-conscious of my outfit. But the instructor was fabulous. The only thing was, if you got there late, the door was locked. You could not come in because it interrupted everything. But I learned a lot about how to follow her lead and how to stretch myself to the limits and different new vocabulary for yoga. And so, yeah, it was a good experience.
Awesome. And what were you wearing that you're so uneasy about?
Well, I had to change out of my work clothes and put on yoga clothes and bend all over. And I always worried about my shirt, flying up and everybody seeing my bra and boobs.
Oh, this is a concern, right? So
yes, it was.
You also share with me that you had a fear about going into corpse pose, into Shavasana. And can you please tell our listeners what your fear was?
Yes, I did always like the way that you de-stressed at corpse pose, the last pose, and the music was soothing and the instructor's voice was soothing. And you really started pulling into yourself. However, one day, a person in the class started snoring. I had to giggle and I totally lost it. And from then on, I was so worried that I was going to do the same thing because I'm a snorer, that it kind of took away the corpse pose.
The bliss of it.
The bliss of it. Yeah, the bliss of it. Right. Yeah. So I was kind of on edge after that.
And you're not alone in that because so many people, as a teacher and as a practitioner myself, I know I've fallen asleep in corpse pose. I'm not sure if I've snored, but as a teacher, there's been many, many times when people start snoring. And then you see the other people kind of open one eye and go, oh, and like, you're disturbing my bliss. But the thing about you're so relaxed, actually, that person, whoever that person is that falls asleep, you need to rest. So so it's a good thing, but also it can be, yes, I can see where it's a little nerve wracking, hoping
Yes.
you don't disturb everyone else. Okay.
Right.
So fast forward to now. Now you're in your 60s. You're almost 68, and
Yeah.
and you started going yoga this year at 67 at the Y. So what
Yes.
made you give yoga a try, 25, 26, 27 years later?
Well, I started going to the Y with my girlfriend. We joined together and we started going on the different equipment. And then we looked at the classes that they offered and for the times that we could go. And we saw that they had senior chair yoga and senior circuit, one following the other in one location. And we thought we would give it a try. And we gave it a try and really liked it. And that's how I got back into it.
Yeah, and it's amazing, right? That well, also you're retired. When you're 40s, you couldn't continue it because you had 3 kids, you had a full-time job, you're going to school. It's and a lot of people want to do yoga when they're, in their 30s, 40s, even 50s, but they just can't seem to fit it in. So
Yeah.
now you're
Yeah.
retired. And also going with a friend is so much more fun than just walking in by yourself. And so you really like it, but is there anything that you don't like about the class?
What I don't like is in the morning having to get up and do my hair and a little bit of makeup and decent, outfit and all of that. And there's days when I'm like, I don't really want to go.
Yeah.
But because I have a friend that's going, and also another friend goes, and so do her sisters that I grew up with. So everybody checks on everybody. So it's kind of peer pressure.
Yeah.
And peer pressure still exists in retirement age.
Well, it's good. We call it accountability, but yes, but it can be peer pressure like, oh, why didn't Kathy didn't show up for the, and yes, it's so hot.
Yes.
I mean, I practice daily, and there are days that I don't want to practice, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just going to skip it. But then I just don't feel right in my body. And I have my own shame, my own peer pressure of shame, I call it. So
Yes.
a lot of people it is hard to get there, to get out the door. So you're not alone with that. So it's been about 6 months since you started the class, and you've shared with me and share with our audience, what differences have you noticed in 6 months of, you've been going pretty consistently twice or 3 times a week?
Yes, I try to go on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel much better after I go. I feel lighter. I feel more positive. And I feel like my body is working a little bit better. And something that I realized after a while was I have this one spot on my back that always itches and I can never reach it. So I have this back scratcher. I'm really making myself sound old. But after yoga and the stretching and the poses, I can reach that itch and scratch it myself. So it's great.
Yeah. And that, also as we age, we want to stay independent. And if you have good range of motion, which is also, a benefit of consistent practice, now you can see your range of motion and everything and is improved. And yes, you can scratch your back, which is awesome. Also, another thing, like I've never had to have anyone help zip me up. So a lot of people stop buying anything with a zipper if they're by themselves.
Oh,
It's a real thing. And that's kind of my marker. It's like, I have to be able to zip and I live alone too. There's no one to, what am I going to do? Like,
right.
to a stranger. Could you finish zipping me up? So I'm glad that you're experiencing those benefits.
Yeah. And another benefit is my balance. My balance is really pretty good.
Yeah. Didn't someone call you a dancer?
Yeah, someone in class one day, and they're usually behind me, came up and said, "You must have been a dancer. You have really good balance." And I just kind of laughed and said, "No, I just try really hard."
Yeah.
So,
Another really important thing as we age, because falls are the leading cause of if you fall at an older age, our bones are a bit more brittle, and it can lead to hospitalization, which can just kind of snowball into one thing after another. So balance is important at any age, but especially as we're getting up there as the years uptick.
yeah, and on that note, once you become a senior, when you go to the doctors, they have a whole list of questions that they'll ask you. And they'll ask you if you have carpeting in your house that you could trip over. And they'll ask you if you have proper lighting. And they'll ask you if you have handrails on your stairs. They'll ask you if your sidewalk and driveway are clear for walking. And they'll ask you if you've fallen lately. So it's kind of nice when I go to the doctor, because they do it every time you go for a checkup.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to say my balance has gotten much better since I started taking yoga.
And what are the doctors, when you tell them, do any of the doctors say that's great, continue, or do they, what has been the reaction when you tell doctors that?
Oh, doctors really love to hear that. It makes them feel like probably that their message has gotten through to me, but
well, also I think all those questions is their form of prevention. So
yeah.
and that is a real thing, prevention.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
yoga is preventative of a lot of these things. And also you had shared with me that your awareness has improved.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Like your body in space, how you walk, how you sit.
Yes, my breathing. Sometimes just to relax, I do the breathing in and out, and it does relax you because you're just concentrating on your breath.
Yeah.
And also it opens you up. And once you open up that way, it just kind of has a psychological follow up with it. Yeah.
I agree. I understand all of this. I'm glad you're sharing with people that it's never too late to start, and you're going to see benefits. How long did you say? Was it a couple months, 3 months before you actually started noticing the benefits?
Yeah, it was a couple of months, I would say.
Right.
And as I was doing it, a couple of months into it, I realized, wow, this is, I'm getting this. But then just, at home every day as well, realizing that I'm getting it with my breathing, also with my posture.
Yes, the posture is like, don't all mothers say sit up straight? I don't know. Did our mom say sit up straight? I can't remember.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so just now I'm just sitting up even more straight.
The minute anybody mentions posture, we all sit up.
Right. Yeah. And what is the one phrase that the teacher uses, or what? I think it's hysterical. So instead of, just, be tall spine. What was it, a teacher that said this?
No, it was me.
Oh, and what do you say?
And I took it from someone. I was watching a show called The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and she was a comedian, and she would get on stage. Her manager would always tell her beforehand, she'd give her a pep talk, and then she would say, now go ahead, go get him, tits up, meaning stand up straight and walk out there with good posture.
I love it.
So I always think of that, tits up.
Yep.
And it works.
I love it. Yes, that's hysterical. And I'm always going to think of that. I'm not sure if I'll be able to say it in a yoga class when I'm teaching, but no. I'll think it.
Yeah.
let's see. Oh, and so you're also combining yoga with it's circuit training. Is that what it is?
Yeah, they call it senior circuit,
Mm-hmm.
and it's constant movement for 45 minutes. And you really work up a sweat. I'm not kidding. It's a sweat.
Yeah.
And you don't stop moving the entire time, and you move every part of your body. And there are times where my hips are yelling at me, stop. And I keep going forward. And then at the end, it doesn't hurt and they actually feel better.
Yes, movement. I keep saying this. You have to keep moving. As we age, people slow down, and there's so much more, so much more TV watching and just sitting and just, anything can come to you. You don't even have to go to the grocery store anymore. You can call up and have it delivered. So it's so easy to not move. So,
Yeah.
And do they use weights in the circuit training, or it's just like?
Yes, we use weights, hand weights, and you can take whatever weight that you want. They have 3, 5, 7,
Yeah.
And we use those, and we use the stretch cords, the plastic stretch cords, and then we use a ball, a little round ball. And that's kind of nice at the end, because you do sit on the chair at the end of that one as you're cooling off, and put the ball behind you and kind of, go back and forth. It feels good. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is it like a medicine ball or
no, it's a small little round ball. Yeah. And you also use that on the floor on your foot, and you outline your foot with it, and you go back and forth. And then you also use that in some movements overhead, reaching toward the ceiling. And you bounce it and catch it in one hand.
Yeah.
So, just some cool things to do.
Yeah. And you said you had shared with me that you like doing the circuit first and then the yoga, but sometimes it's the yoga first and then the circuit.
Yeah.
What's the
Mondays and Wednesdays, it's the yoga first and then the circuit. And Fridays, it's circuit, then yoga. And each one has its benefit. If you do the yoga first and then the circuit, I think it helps to warm you up and get you going. And it wakes up all of your muscles and nerves and awareness and all of that. And then when you do it after, it's kind of nice, because you have this huge workout, and then afterwards it's kind of like calming. Yeah. So I prefer the calming at the end. So but either way, I like them both, and it's they're each 45 minutes. There's a 15-minute break in between, which most ladies run to the ladies' room then.
Of course. Yeah. I love that you're doing both. I love a combination. And people say, oh, do you just do yoga? I don't just do yoga. I incorporate weights and resistance bands and lots of things, which also leads to more aerobics. I love that you're doing the combination, because I think they really complement each other. Yoga can bring awareness and strength and flexibility, but also as we age, we need to do more weight bearing. So you're on your feet, you're moving, and that's so good for your bones.
Right.
To be on your feet, moving. And I love that you're doing that. So you had said that you're one of the youngest participants in the senior, it's called senior yoga chair class, I think, but we call it old people yoga. But and the reason I bring that up is because lots of studios or gyms or whatever say it's senior yoga, meaning you're old, or you're not as strong or flexible or able. But in that class, you'd said that the older yogis, by decades from you, are not sitting in the chair. They're just using
No.
the chair for balance, correct?
Yeah, if they need it, the chair's there. I was amazed by these women and men as well that are in their mid 70s, mid 80s. There's a couple that are 90, and they do it, the whole thing, the whole yoga, the whole circuit. And it kind of was making me feel like, well, I better keep up.
Right.
So, and my other girlfriends that are my age as well, it's the same. We know that we're the younger ones there, but we've got a lot to live up to with these women and men who've been doing this, and many of them for years.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
I love that. And maybe they started in their 60s too. Maybe they, after, because I think a lot of people after retirement or when there's less, their kids fly the coop or whatever, and then people can actually take care of themselves. They want to. And also, do you feel like there's such a sense of community, correct?
Oh, yeah. Everybody is there for each other. And during the 15 minutes, everybody talks to everybody and you meet new people there, and they're all very welcoming. It's a really good vibe throughout.
Yeah.
A good vibe.
That's
yeah. And it doesn't mean that nobody uses the equipment or walks the track or anything, because a lot of them do. And I do as well. That's not the only thing I do there. I do, use some of the other machines and stuff. And actually, on one Saturday I went to Tai Chi, which I really liked.
Yes, tell me about that, because I have never done Tai Chi. Tell our listeners what about it.
So I went on a Saturday, and unfortunately I haven't been able to go back on a Saturday, but I did this Tai Chi and I really liked it. I had no idea it was defense training, and each move is meant and calculated to ward off or throw off an attacker. And so in yoga, they've started to incorporate this one yogi has started to incorporate some Tai Chi moves, which are really good because you're twisting your body in ways that you normally wouldn't think to twist. And it's quite a workout on your muscles. And I really like that. And it's also about your power. You have the power to resist, and you have the power to throw off an attacker, which is kind of cool. So it makes you feel like you've got this inner strength as well.
That's really interesting. So not just a physical attacker, but also mental attacks. Does it incorporate mind, body, or is it?
Yeah, because it is in your mind. Yeah. So it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to think about the moves, and it's not just one move, it's a series of moves for each. I don't even know what you call them, but to get rid of your attacker.
Okay. Well, I wish I could help you, but I've never been, but you've really sparked my interest. So I'm going to look for a Tai Chi class or something online.
Yeah.
See if I can do it, because it sounds amazing. And I'm glad you're trying new things. That's a lot of people won't try anything that they feel like they're not good at. So.
Well, I'm not good at it, but it's interesting and it's kind of fun.
Well, that's the whole thing. Like people say, I'm not good at yoga, so I'm not going to try it. Well, hang on, you haven't tried it. How do you know? And there's no being good or being not good. It's really just yoga is really about self-inquiry. Yes, you're doing postures and you're moving your body and things like that, but it's more about self-inquiry and learning more about yourself and your body. So I hear it a lot. I can't do yoga. I'm not flexible. That's the one we hear all the time.
Well, it's not like I'm being graded on it like I was when I took the class. So most places where you go for yoga or anything else, nobody's giving you a grade.
Right. But I'm sure you didn't get graded on your flexibility. You probably got graded if you showed up.
If you showed up.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and we did have some written tests, which we don't have that at the Y.
No.
Well, it was a college course. You got to have something,
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, even the Y, they don't give you a gold star for your forehead or anything.
Maybe they should. No.
Yeah.
Incentive. Yes.
Yeah.
So, well, I'm glad that you're trying Tai Chi and you're feeling better in your body. You're feeling better with your breathing, your posture, your awareness, all of these things, which I've been, touting for years to people, that yoga is so beneficial, or any discipline of movement, of movement at all, especially as we age. So I appreciate you sharing with that. And so what advice would you give people in the later decades of their life? I hate saying old. I just don't like saying that we're old. And they might be hesitant to try yoga or any other modality. What would your tips or advice be?
Well, it doesn't hurt to try, and you really don't have anything to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a lot to gain once you start going and see the benefits of it. So give it a try.
Yeah.
And you can't just go once. It's got to be more than once. So
right. And you might not find the right teacher right away, or you might not find the right class right away, but there's so many options out there. There's the Y, there's senior centers, there's yoga studios, there's gyms. You just have to kind of shop around for what's going to resonate with you. And yes, give it a try, give it at least 3 to 4 tries, I say, with anything.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, Kath, I love that you've been on this podcast. I do ask a question to all my guests that I didn't tell you about. So
okay.
Usually the question is, with all that you've learned and all of you've experienced in your life, what would you tell your younger self? But I like to switch that. So with all of your experience, your life experience, everything that you know now, what would you like to tell your older self?
Keep going till you can. That's all. Just keep going till you can.
Yeah, I agree. Keep going. Just keep swimming. That was Finding Nemo. Ellen.
And find some fun in it.
Yeah.
And laugh.
Yeah. Good. That's great. Yes. Keep going, keep laughing, and just keep moving.
Yep.
So, well, thank you so much, Kath.
Well, thanks for having me.
Oh, I so appreciate you being here and sharing your insights and your stories. And everybody, if you take one thing away from today's podcast, I think it would be tits up.
It's up.
All right, Kath. Thanks so much. And I'll be
thanks. I love you, Mar.
I love you too, Kath.
Thanks so much for listening. You can find me and subscribe for more youthful and healthy information on my website, shareyogawithmj.offeringtree.com. Or if you know how to navigate social media, find me on Facebook /Mary Jane Waddell. That's Jane with a Y, Jayne. And Instagram @Mary Jane Waddell. Remember, Jane with a Y. Now, this podcast would not be possible without my youthful older producer, editor, and creative friend, ANDREA CANNY. And you can find ANDREA at ANDREA CANNY, that's CANNY.com. And of course, thanks to my generous guests who've shared their time and youthful wisdom. Remember, the Youthful Older Yogi podcast is presented solely for educational, inspirational, and entertainment purposes. It's not intended as a substitute for a physician or other qualified professionals. Okay, yogis, stay well and stay youthful.